Hi, my name is Mark, and most people call me Junior. And just want to give a little bit about my testimony. I started out, at 7 years old. I got saved in Amarillo, Texas, at Olson Park Baptist Church. And I remember feeling good about being saved and Jesus coming and living inside of me, man. And it was a great feeling. But I turned into a teenager not too long after that, and I started using drugs. I started smoking pot at the age of 14 and drinking with my buddies, and I kind of went downhill from there. I remember sitting there at the kitchen table and telling my dad, I said, man, I don't need God. I don't need God for anything. I can handle life on my own. And it wasn't too long after that when I turned 16, I was getting a little bit deeper into stuff, and by that time I was using meth and coke. I was a slave. I was a slave to methamphetamines, and my life was going way downhill. And there was really, I didn't see no hope or any future in anything, And I remember being out on the streets and not having anything, living in vans and stuff, and life was terrible. And it wasn't too long after that, I moved to San Antonio and with my ex-wife, and we had a kid. She was pregnant, and I tried to get off the drugs. I quit drinking and whatnot, and I was messed up. And I caught my first felony at the age of 22. I got divorced not too long after that, and I was still running crazy, and I moved here to Lubbock with my dad for a while, and trying to get away from the drugs in Amarillo. And by the time I was almost off probation, 4 years, and by the time I got 3 years and 10 months, I violated, and I took off on the run. And I got back with my ex-wife, and we got together, and she got pregnant. And I remember trying to get off the drugs, and I was still drinking, man. I couldn't quit drinking, but I wasn't doing none of the hard stuff. I wasn't doing no meth or coke or anything like that. And I got arrested again for a violation of probation in '06, and I went to jail. I remember being in jail. I was thinking, my girl, she's pregnant. I ain't gonna get to see my baby for a long time, because I remember looking at 18 months, and I was sitting there crying. I was calling my dad, and I was telling him, hey man, take care of my family, while I'm locked up. And I remember sitting there in front of the judge, and he gave me 18 months, and I was in jail, and my little girl was born. I remember how God was still watching after me. I still wasn't looking for God, but I see His hand and stuff, and I was sitting there in jail. My little girl was born on a Saturday, and I couldn't have no pictures or anything in there. But my daddy had took some pictures and sent it to my grandma. I took it in there, and I got to see my little girl, on T-shirts. They had them printed on T-shirts, and it was really pretty cool, So I got out, and I thought I was going to do good, man. I tried, I got a job. I was still with my ex-wife, and it was crazy for a while, I was doing pretty good, but I just couldn't handle it, man. And I twisted off again. I started hanging out the strip clubs and doing all that stuff one more time, and I moved back to Amarillo because I had violated my probation again. So they made me move to Amarillo, and I was sitting there in Amarillo, and Amarillo's not a good town for me, man. That's where it all started, and I started drinking again. It just started out by drinking, then I was smoking pot again, and then it wasn't too long, man, I was hooked on that meth again. And at this time, I had got custody of my little girl. We have joint custody, but I'm the primary custodian. And I remember leaving my little girl at my grandma's house, or at my aunt, my grandma and my aunt. And, I go out and party, man. I want to come home for days, and man, life was just crazy for me. And, I really didn't have no hope, man. I met the wife that I have now, Alexa, and we met at the clubs and partying and doing drugs together. And I remember sitting there with her, and I was like, dude, what are we doing? We're out here in the streets. We ain't got nowhere to live. We're in a van. We're going to all these clubs and all these places. We're robbing people. We're stealing from people. And I said, man, what kind of life is this, man? What is this, man? And I was a Christian. I got saved at 7, man. But man, I I didn't feel like it, you know what I'm saying? I mean, God's convicting me, man. There's something better for me. There's something else for you, man. Why are you out here? I got something for you to do. And man, I just never listened. And then one day, you know, it all changed around.